Hey, y'all know what it is. Y'all know who it is. It's your boy Pharaoh the guy. Always on the job. I got five. Let's talk. And as always, it's real talk, raw talk. And you know, it's that time again to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell another friend. Share, like, and subscribe. Don't hide. It don't cost you much to touch, so go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, support the channel, support your boy, and above all, support the movement. Welcome to another episode of I Got Five, Let's Talk, where we keep it fair like a California bear, and we ain't California raisins. We ain't doing no hate. Today, today's podcast is Israel's in big trouble, man, and a lot of people hasn't been seeing it that way. But before we get into that, I want people to take this time to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like the channel, and support the channel. This is a non-monetized platform, and as you can tell, what I talk about, is going to be always conflict of interest. So go ahead, keep this unbiased opinion in the algorithm, this freedom of speech in the algorithm, because we need it. We need to have conversation to bring about some type of compromisation in real time. Now, I have done a couple reports detailing Israel's hidden agenda. And I have pointed out that Israel is not going to be as nice to America if they get the upper hand. And I've also said that the only way Trump can find himself coming out of this world, out of this war, with some type of forgiveness, Trump has to react to Israel. All this talk about Iran, it's not gonna work. Because the perception has already changed. The mindsets are starting to change. There is a new dilemma that hasn't been around before. And that dilemma now is that people are waking up to the real picture. People are actually waking up and recognizing the jinn in the room. They are recognizing who is the elephant in the room. That is the dilemma that America and Israel has today. Benjamin Netanyahu and his Zionist regime have been calling to go to war with Muslim countries for decades. We have saw the reports of going to war with 7 Muslim countries in 7 years. I did the war report, what is Israel's true hidden agenda? And I said one of the countries that they never went to war with was Turkey. And what does Turkey have? It's a part of the hidden agenda. the New World Order of making people bow because they have control of everything. So today what we gonna do, man, we gonna get into this content. I'm gonna play this content for you. And if need be, man, please hit the comment section, get indulged. I rock with all comments. No filters, say what you want to, keep it professional. Let's run this content.
What we've witnessed over the past 72 hours isn't just an arms expo. It's a tectonic shift in the power dynamics of the Middle East. While the occupation state in Tel Aviv has been busy running its mouth, calling Turkey the next Iran, and threatening to open the Turkish file after they finished their failed adventure against Tehran, Ankara delivered a masterclass in strategic patience.
Turkey has unveiled its first ever intercontinental ballistic missile.
Turkey has unveiled its first intercontinental ballistic missile, ICBM.
Now, to give you an understanding of why this missile is so important and why this missile puts fear into Israel. This missile is the same type of missile that Iran used in Tel Aviv against United States bases, F-35 jets, compounds, and a gang of other structures. This is the type of missile, it's gonna explain that. But this missile is the missile, that type of missile that Iran occupied allegedly from North Korea. This missile is hard to be detected by the Iron Dome, David Sling, all these protections that Israel has. The Iron Dome, it shatters this. Let's continue.
Turkey has unveiled one of its most advanced long-range weapons yet, marking a significant moment in its growing defense capabilities.
They waited until the Saha 2026 Expo, pulled back the curtain, and essentially told the Netanyahu cabal and their American puppet masters that the game has permanently changed. We aren't just talking about a new rifle or a drone here. We're talking about the debut of the Yildirim Han, a 6,000-kilometer range intercontinental ballistic missile. This is a 25 Mach liquid-fueled 3-ton conventional warhead capable of reaching any corner of occupied Palestine within minutes, completely untouchable by the vaunted Iron Dome or arrow systems, because no existing defense architecture on the planet can consistently intercept that kind of hypersonic maneuverability. And, as if that wasn't enough to send the military circles in Tel Aviv into a panic spiral, Turkey simultaneously rolled out the Guchan turbofan engine, a 42,000 LBF monster designed to power 5th and 6th generation fighters, stunning NATO, who thought they could keep Ankara under thumb with engine embargoes. But the nightmare for the occupation doesn't stop with an ICBM.
But this is also a validation of credibility of what we've been hearing in the metaverse. That NATO is falling apart. Turkey, a member of NATO, is being blocked by other NATO countries for jet engine parts. Listen to what they're saying. Turkey, a member of NATO, has been being blocked from obtaining engine components from other NATO countries. Where is America when you need them? Or does America really give a fuck about its NATO colleagues? Or did the American system start to realize that they let one Muslim country inside of NATO that now has become a force to be reckoned with? Why would other NATO countries put sanctions of engine parts on Turkey? These are blockades that are aimed at NATO countries that can have nuclear weapons or whatever. I don't know for sure if a nuclear weapon is involved in being a part of NATO, but I know they can have weapons of mass destruction. They're part of NATO. America needs NATO in that region to help push their agenda of conflict. And now, that very Muslim country that you have inside of NATO is now becoming and showing that region that if you thought Iran was doing something, look what we got. The dynamics of this war, without Turkey being in it, has just shifted. And if you don't believe it, just do your history on that type of missile. Why Tel Aviv couldn't stop those type of missiles before. Turkey was one of the only Muslim countries that wasn't on the 7 list of Muslim countries in 7 years. But Israel has always made it clear Turkey is part of the agenda. And Turkey is looking and said, well, if Israel continues to be able to do what they want to do, and they're talking about it, they're talking about going to war with Turkey because it is the bigger Iran. This is a NATO country. How is Benjamin Netanyahu able to do this? But let's finish running this content.
Turkey has officially weaponized the fear of the specific, the surgical, and the unblockable. They showed off the Nestor, a direct copy of the American AGM-114R9X Ninja missile, a blade-based, non-explosive precision strike munition designed to liquefy high-value individuals without blowing up the neighborhood. Think about the Dimona nuclear complex. Think about specific high IQ scientists working on weapons meant to massacre Palestinians. This weapon exists for them. To top off this middle finger to the West, Pakistan is now publicly lining up to purchase the Gazap thermobaric bomb, described by experts like Hakan Kilic as Ankara's most devastating non-nuclear weapon. Friends, this is how you humble a rogue state. If you enjoy seeing arrogance get punished by hard technical facts, smash that like button, share this update, and drop a comment, even just a dot or a flag, to overpower the algorithm. And seriously, subscribe to support honest, unfiltered journalism that doesn't bow to the occupation's narrative. Stay tuned, because the ripple effects of these weapons are about to rewrite the rules of engagement. Let's focus on the crown jewel of this humiliation, the Yildirim Han ICBM. We have to understand this from a weapons expert's perspective. This isn't some garage project. Developed by the Turkish Ministry of National Defense's R&D Center and unveiled at Saha 2026, the Yildirim Han marks Turkey's entry into the intensely elite club of intercontinental-grade strategic weapons. We are talking about a missile with a staggering range of 6,000 kilometers. From a launch site in the Anatolian heartland, you aren't just targeting Tel Aviv or Haifa. You're holding strategic targets across all of Europe, deep into Russia, and the entirety of the Middle East at risk. The specifications are brutal, speeds ranging from Mach 9 all the way up to Mach 25, propelled by a 4-engine architecture using nitrogen tetroxide liquid fuel, and crucially, a massive 3,000 kilogram payload capacity. Now, liquid fuel is an interesting choice. It prioritizes massive thrust, sustained high-energy boost phases, and payload optimization. It tells us that Turkey prioritized destructive power and range over the rapid launch survivability of solid-fuel rockets, essentially sending a message that they are confident enough in their strategic depth not to worry about a first strike. And regarding that nuclear question that has Tel Aviv hyperventilating, While currently designated as a conventional deterrent, the Yildirim Han is configured to carry a payload that inherently changes Turkey's ambiguous nuclear posture. It puts a stop to the myth that Ankara is simply a secondary NATO actor. If the occupation regime continues to dub Turkey an enemy state and threaten military adventures into the eastern Mediterranean,
why hasn't Trump spoke to Benjamin Netanyahu about this privately? I'm not even talking about condemning it publicly, but talking to him about it privately. And if he has spoken to Bibi the dirtbag about this, then Bibi the dirtbag is clearly disrespecting Trump and what he is saying by continuously threatening to bring harm to Turkey. He has said this time and time again, and if no restraint or no muzzle is put on this dog, he's gonna give somebody rabies. He's gonna give somebody rabies. Put a muzzle on this dog. Because if your dog attacks somebody, you're liable. So if Israel continues on with its banter against Muslims, America is going to be the one, perception-wise, that is going to pay that price.
this missile is the physical embodiment of the don't even think about it doctrine. And just to make the American foreign policy establishment choke on their morning coffee, Turkey used the exact same event to showcase the Guchan turbofan engine. For decades, the United States and its Western allies have used engine technology as a leash. They kicked Turkey out of the F-35 program. They've dangled engine tech like a carrot, assuming that without Western engines, Turkey's Ka-an fighter jet or its drone program...
If they do this to a NATO country, if they have the audacity to do this to a NATO country that is their friend, that has never done anything towards the regime, what do you think they do to other people? This is that mistake of keeping your enemy or your frenemy a little bit too close. Because now that you thought he was your frenemy, or you thought that you can manipulate him, or you got him in check, this is when he puts you in check.
Programs would hit a glass ceiling. The Guchan project smashes that ceiling. This is a 42,000-pound force thrust turbofan with a diameter of roughly 46.5 inches and a massive airflow of 330 pounds per second. To dumb that down for the non-engineers in the audience, turbine blades in this engine have to withstand temperatures that would melt standard steel.
On Tingle, you get real people, instant buy. Join Tingle now, you better be there.
Turbine blades in this engine have to withstand temperatures that would melt standard steel, requiring aerospace-grade superalloys and single-crystal metallurgy that only a few countries on Earth can produce. This places Turkey squarely inside the superpowers club alongside the US, UK, Russia, and China for military turbofan production. It means the occupation's cheap tricks of lobbying Washington to sanction spare parts for Turkish equipment is becoming obsolete.
In layman terms, they don't need America no fucking more. America's tricks have caused them to lose allies. And this is one of the allies. Dangling carrots, holding them back, blockades, not wanting them to become just as great, or in some instance, even greater. This is definitely America's foreign policy coming to bite them back in the ass. It's a full circle. In order to keep up alive You have to tell more lies. Now your character is damaged because you're a liar. You didn't lie once. You continued to lie. You made it personal. So I only can judge you personally. How does America allow BB the dirtbag to threaten other NATO members? This is the reason why NATO is falling apart, because Trump has not put a muzzle on his rabid dog yet. This is why also they couldn't get no help with the war. Because the characteristics of BB the dirtbag are not just that good to believe in.
A nation achieves independent propulsion for air superiority. All the pathetic attempts at containment collapse. Netanyahu's allies in the U.S. now have to face a Turkey that can breathe its own fire without asking permission from the Pentagon. But perhaps the most deeply humiliating signal for the Israeli war planners isn't the big, loud ICBM. It's the silent, terrifying Neshter. Developed by Roketsan as a variant of the battle-proven Mamel family, the Neshter takes inspiration from the US Hellfire R9X Ninja missile, but it's a uniquely Turkish nightmare. This isn't a weapon designed to destroy a building. It's designed to assassinate a person sitting in a car, standing on a balcony, or walking out of a secure bunker. It uses a proximity sensor that activates just before impact, deploying mechanical cutting blades that shred the target kinetically. It carries no explosive payload, meaning no fireball, no structural damage next door, and, most importantly for plausible deniability, minimal collateral damage that the Western media could use to smear the resistance. It's a surgical point-target elimination tool. We're talking about a weapon tailored for sensitive, high-value targets. Now, why does this send shivers down the spine of the occupation? Because their entire war machine relies on the idea that their nuclear program and scientific brain trust are untouchable. Mona, the weapons labs, the pilots who bomb Palestinian children. These are exactly the kind of sensitive targets the Neshter was built to neutralize in a latent war scenario where Ankara decides the time for civilian casualties is over, but the time for cutting out cancer cells has begun. If there was any doubt that Turkey's non-nuclear capabilities were sufficient to end any conventional argument with the occupation, let's turn to the Gazap thermobaric bomb. While Tel Aviv is busy crying to NATO demanding Turkey be expelled, which is historically hilarious and pathetically ironic, given that Turkey has NATO's second largest army, Pakistan, is moving closer than ever to purchasing the Gazap. According to Turkish defense expert Hakan Kilic, this weapon is Ankara's most powerful non-nuclear device. This isn't just a big bomb.
And if you didn't catch that, Turkey is NATO's second largest army. So I guess America has the first? Or are they behind France, who's bleeding for money right now? Who can't afford to go to war right now? So if France has the first, they're obsolete. They are obsolete. They have their own problems in West Africa and throughout the continent of Africa. They can no longer indulge. So if they were the second behind France, and I'm not sure, this means through France's mistakes in Europe, it has forfeited its first place stage. Now, if it was America that they are second behind, this gives validity to all the reasons why Israel should be scared. Not only do they have missiles, but they have troops. They have sea, and they have might. This is why Israel may be calling for the removal of Turkey from NATO. But without Turkey and America not practicing what it preaches and backing NATO countries, what is NATO? Really now?
It's a fuel-air mixture weapon weighing roughly 970 kilograms that disperses around 10,000 fragments at high density while consuming oxygen to create a vacuum over a massive area. The description that it leaves no living organism in the immediate target zone is a grim reality of thermobaric physics. The idea that Pakistan, a known nuclear power with established military ties to the occupation's enemies, is set to integrate this onto cruise missiles like the Babur or ballistic missiles changes the regional calculus drastically. It deepens the defense cooperation between two of the most powerful Muslim-majority states against the artificial entity in the region. The media in Tel Aviv has spent months shrieking that Turkey is another Iran, claiming that after their failed and bloody adventure against Iran, Turkey is next on the menu as the biggest adversary for a regime that thrives on war. Seeing Ankara arm Pakistan while arming itself is the geopolitical equivalent of the ground swallowing that regime whole. This brings us to the sheer, unadulterated panic and humiliation inside the Israeli security apparatus. You have American think tanks and Israeli media outlets like Israel Hayom publishing articles titled "Iran was the rehearsal. The Turkish file is open," discussing the need to potentially attack Turkey's nuclear infrastructure like the Akuyu plant or its missile factories. A suicidal fantasy of preemptive strikes that echoes the delusional Zionism of 1967. The sheer arrogance is staggering. This is a regime that has spent months telling the world that after Iran, which is now a failed adventure for them, they would turn their sights on breaking Turkey. And what happened? The moment they tried to rattle their sabers, Turkey didn't just give Netanyahu the finger. They introduced weapon systems that render the entirety of occupied Palestine a glass parking lot waiting to happen. You have to mock the demand for expelling Turkey from NATO. The occupation knows that their only hope for military superiority over the region was the Western technological edge they have relied on as a lifeline. Now, a NATO member from the East has reverse-engineered and surpassed that edge. The crying about NATO expulsion is the wailing of a bully who, having terrorized the neighborhood kids for years, suddenly realizes one of them grew up, went to the gym, and learned to box better than Mike Tyson. The demand is an admission of total strategic defeat before a single shot is fired. As we wrap this up, let's be clear about the geopolitical scorecard. The Western media wants you to think this is tension, but it's actually a forced repositioning that the occupation cannot afford. The Iran adventure took a sledgehammer to the myth of Israeli military invincibility. The Turkish ICBM and engine programs are burying the myth of Western technological veto. For Russia, the Turkish ICBM and the Guchan engine represent a new variable, a NATO member that is simultaneously using S-400s and ignoring U.S. sanctions, yet capable of hitting Moscow with unblockable hypersonic kinetics. It forces a ballet of respect that Moscow is not accustomed to handling. For the American empire, Turkey has now essentially achieved frenemy-in-law status, technically a NATO ally with an
But this is a NATO ally that is being threatened by Trump's friends in Israel. America isn't thinking about NATO. Why? Because if they were thinking about NATO unveiling what Turkey just unveiled, shows America that they're up for the job against Russia and China if need be. But by America allowing this conflict to linguistically be spreaded, what stops another country reaching out to China and Russia? This is the part what messes it up. And yes, some might say, well, that's what Israel wants to do to get them over there to be able to continuously create that conflict. That is the wrong thing to do. You see what is Iran is doing to Israel with the little help they're getting from China, Russia, and North Korea. Turkey, on the other hand, has done everything it has right now by itself. No help. Now, if Turkey was to switch gears and sides and do it for self, they can be the dominant factor in that region. But the only thing that they don't have that could solidify that on their side is going to war with America and Israel. That's the thing. Turkey doesn't have that on their side. See, people watched Iran struggle for decades, through and through. They haven't seen the same thing with Turkey. And let's not forget, Turkey and Armenia, that little genocidal thing that they call a genocide. And not being insensitive to the Armenian war, but that's what it was. But why is America so involved with Muslim countries? Why? Why is America so involved with these people? And it's not America that is involved and concerned. You know who it is. And while we're talking about Turkey, I want to take the time out to show you what Turkey actually controls and what I believe is the reason that America actually wants to, why Israel wants to actually attack them. I know y'all see that. It's a lot.
Do you know what Turkey really controls? Not just land.
That's Turkey. Now, what's gonna happen here? It's gonna blow your mind. And I did a war report on this. And people didn't want to believe it. Now people are reporting the escalation of Israel with Turkey. This is going to be the next thing that they're going to report on. Because this is why Israel wants to go to war with Turkey. This is the meat and potatoes, y'all. But before I do that, man, hit that like button, man. Go ahead. It ain't even that many people in here right now. 9 people, man. Make them likes, match them views, man, before we get into this expose of Israel. Before we get into that, man, y'all go ahead, hit that like button before we get into this exposing Israel of the real reason why they after Turkey. And it's a couple of more countries that's just like this. And I know y'all wasn't paying attention in the war report. And I told y'all, Turkey is gonna be on the list. It wasn't, but it's gonna be on that list. And even if it ain't gonna be on that list, Israel is threatening to strike Turkey, a UN nation, credible nation. No nuclear power, but just the threat of it, that they think it could become the next Iran. So what is Israel saying? Anybody that they think that could beat them, they need to get rid of. What if they not doing nothing? It doesn't matter. Make sure y'all hit that like button, man. Before we get into this, man, we expose the true agenda of the Greater Israel Projects, man. Hey, y'all know what it is. Y'all know who it is, man. It's your boy Pharaoh the God, always on the job. I got 5. Let's talk. And as always, it's real talk, raw talk. And you know it's that time again to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell another friend. Share, like, and subscribe. Don't hide. It don't cost you much to touch. So go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, support the channel, support your boy, and support the movement. Yes, indeedy, keep it fresh like Tahiti. Now, what I'm going to show you goes into what I believe is the true hidden agenda of the Zionist regime. In order to bring about a new world order, you can't just do it with mind. You can't just do it by force. You have to bring them to near death in order for them to accept and to live by the new world order. They would damn near have to die, and they would have to know that the new world order, is responsible for treating them and putting them in the circumstance that they are today. That is the new world order. You will know what the new world order is because you won't be able to drink, you won't be able to fly, you won't be able to eat, because the evil entity is going to be able to control all of that. And what is that they're going to control? Let me show you.
But one of the most powerful choke points on Earth, it's only about 2 wide. That's it. But this narrow strip connects 2 continents. This is the Bosporus Strait, the line between Europe and Asia, and Turkey controls every ship that passes through it. 3,000 vessels move through this route every year.
Man. Turkey controls it. Not China, Asia, not Europe. Turkey, a Muslim country. Wow. But let's see how vital it is.
Carrying massive amounts of cargo, oil, gas, essential goods. Some estimates put total cargo at hundreds of millions to over 1 billion tons annually. This isn't just traffic, it's global lifelines. Russia depends on it.
Global lifelines. Does that mean that if you control this, you control the livelihood of a couple different continents? Is that what you are saying here? Wheat, grain, oil, gas, trade, commerce? This is the strait where East meets West? And what's the cherry on top? Let's listen.
To move its Black Sea fleet into open waters. Ukraine depends on it to ship grain to the rest of the world.
Russia depends on it to send its fleet out into the Red Sea and the rest of the world. Who is Russia an enemy of? America. Israel. Oh, but Ukraine is fighting them. Ukraine is one of the biggest suppliers of grain or wheat in the world. One of them. Especially for the European continent. It's one of them for the European continent. And that too, that strip of body of water, the rest of Europe depends on that. So if the people in Europe and or in Asia or any rest of the world, Turkey or anywhere below, is not intact or have submitted to the New World Order, do they get food? I don't know. I see your comments. I'll deal with it in a second.
So in a way, this narrow passage helps move both energy and food across the planet. Now imagine it shuts down. Ships stop moving, oil prices spike, gas supplies tighten, food shipments stall, and global markets react instantly. Because sometimes real power isn't about size, it's about control. One country, one narrow strait, and
one country, one narrow strait, one government, one world order. What the hell? One dominant, one theology, one narrative, one agenda. Turkey. And you ask why. What is terrible? I mean, Turkey's a Muslim country. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. Hey, shout out to Dave Arts, 6379 for tapping in, man. He says, how many wins will, man, get, yeah, the whole time.
a route that can influence the entire world.
If you got hit, even...
So, that's just Turkey. And see, people don't understand what's the big picture here.
Israel is attacking the Gaza Strip and attempting to annex.
It's because they don't see the bigger picture. These are countries that did nothing to Israel. But Israel wanted to have something to do with them. So to prove my point about why they want to go to war with Turkey, let me show you what's going on here in the Gaza Strip.
Many experts believe this is because it wants to restart its Ben Gurion Canal project. This canal project is an alternative to the Suez Canal, which connects the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea, establishing connectivity between Europe and Asia. An alternative would be through the Gulf of Aqaba. A canal would be dug from the tip of the Gulf of Aqaba, passing through Israel's Negev Desert and connecting to the Mediterranean Sea north of the Gaza Strip. However, this canal has some drawbacks. For one, it would be 100 kilometers longer than the Suez Canal. Therefore, even after its completion, many commercial companies may prefer the Suez Canal. Furthermore, its construction would require nuclear blasting, which could result in nuclear fallout, and its construction will cost more than $100 billion. With that much money, the Suez Canal could easily be widened and deepened. Actually, Israel and other Western countries use the Suez Canal, which is under Egyptian rule. Egypt benefits greatly from the Suez Canal. That's why, when Egypt nationalized the Suez Canal in 1956, Britain, France, and Israel jointly attacked Egypt. This resulted in the Suez War. Since then, Egypt's economy has benefited.
Every time a country nationalizes its natural resources, they're attacked. They expose themselves by trying not to expose themselves. All they did was try to make their country more financially better.
Billions of dollars from the Suez Canal, and if Israel's Ben Gurion Canal were built, Israel would have the same benefit.
That's wild. But that's what's on the arm of the soldiers in the Israeli army. It stretches from the Nile River to the Euphrates River. That is the Greater Israel Project that everybody sees. But what, in that instance, what do they control? Trade in the Suez Canal. And if they get that, what's stopping them from taking over the whole of Arabia? And the whole of East Africa all the way down till they recognize Somaliland already. Oh, Somaliland. What does that have to do with anything you say?
A new maritime flashpoint has just emerged, and it's coming from an unexpected direction. Somalia has announced a ban on Israeli-linked ships through the Bab al-Mandeb Strait, one of the most critical shipping routes on the planet. This narrow passage connects the Red Sea to the Gulf of Aden, acting as a lifeline between Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Every day, massive volumes of oil, gas, and cargo move through this corridor, so even the threat of disruption here can ripple across global markets. According to the report, Somalia is specifically targeting vessels linked to Israel, signaling a shift from political disagreement to strategic pressure at sea. The move is widely seen as a response to Israel's recognition of Somaliland, a region Somalia considers part of its sovereign territory. For Mogadishu, this isn't just diplomacy. It's a direct challenge to its unity, and the reaction has now moved beyond words into action tied to global trade routes. By connecting this dispute to the Bab...
There's that phrase again, global trade routes. And what does that include, y'all? Food, commerce, oil, gas. Things that are vital to human existence. Well, things that are vital to us not going back into the Stone Ages. Like for real. If things like that are blocked off or made scarce, motherfuckers will start barbecuing again. Bonfires. This is what is at stake here. And I know a lot of people don't get it.
Mandeb, Somalia is elevating the stakes. It's not just sending a message to Israel, but signaling that interference in its internal affairs could carry consequences in one of the world's most sensitive maritime corridors. Even though Somalia's ability to fully enforce such a ban is uncertain due to limited naval capacity, the announcement itself carries weight. In a choke point this vital, perception alone can shift shipping behavior, increase insurance costs, and force rerouting decisions. This is also unfolding in a region already under pressure. To the east, Iran has been escalating tensions around the Strait of Hormuz in response to U.S. and Israeli actions.
Another global trade route that a certain entity wants control of by way of regime change. We just watched 4 major global trade routes within that region alone. They all are controlled by Muslims, Muslim countries, all of them. But if Muslims are so bad and so terroristic by nature, why aren't they're rich now. Why don't they make the world suffer? Do you think Israel is going to be that nice if they control these 4 global trade routes? Do you think America will be so nice to the rest of the world either if they control these bodies of water? What do you honestly think the outcome will be if America and or Israel control these global trade routes? Israel shows no respect to what America says, nor enforces or warns against. Israel has shown time and time again it's going to do what it does, what it wants to do for its agenda, narrative, and trickery. Can't even call it sovereignty. And if they hate Muslims that much, you know for sure the Muslims are going to suffer. And if they believe what we know for them to believe, that we are all goyim, what do you think is going to happen if they control the global trade routes? They will issue in the new world order. That will bring about one money, one world, one religion, which will be the government's religion. The Muslims haven't issued in no new world order like that, and they have been controlling these sectors for decades. They have not made countries perish, nor have they made countries suffer into decimation. Their ideal outlook, their theology. They have not done this, but America and Israel has painted the picture for decades that Muslims are the worst thing that has ever happened to earth. But yet Muslims control all trade routes. But yet they have done nothing. And if you know what 4 represents, it represents culture, and freedom. And that's what these Muslim countries give, culture and freedom. Freedom to have a free dome. Even though that Islam has been drugged through feces, it has still not yet to treat the world how it has been treated by the world. And they control you. If you don't think they know what they control, you're losing your brain. This is what these wars are about. Yeah, the oil, but if they control the global routes, they definitely will control everything. Because if they control the food source, the light source, and you're going to be begging for it. This is why everybody has always ran behind the dangling carrot for America. America has always promised them a lot but never gave them nothing. Do you think that will change, NATO? Do you think that will change Muslim countries? I don't think so. I think it'll get worse. But let's finish this content.
While to the north of Bab al-Mandeb, the Houthi movement has demonstrated its ability to target ships in the Red Sea. Against this backdrop, Somalia's move adds another layer, not necessarily through military power, but through political escalation tied directly to a global trade artery. And that's what makes this moment significant. What began as a dispute over recognition has now reached one of the most strategic waterways in the world. One decision, one response, and now Somalia has placed itself at the center of a growing maritime pressure point that the entire world is watching.
Israel is attacking the Gaza Strip and attempting to annex.
Now you see what that is. That's 4 waterways. Somalia, Israel, Turkey. This is what's going on here. Get in the comments, let me know what y'all think, man. Tell me how y'all feel, man. What's on your mind? Don't be scared to drop it one time. So I Got 5 Let's Talk podcast, man. Where we keep it fair like California Bears, and we ain't California Raisins. We ain't doing no hating. But Turkey is now on the list to be attacked. Turkey is now on the list to be hunted down like a dog. If Israel can threaten Turkey that has no nuclear weapons and it's a NATO member, what else won't Israel do? And by me just showing you the last little bit in this segment about these waterways, these bodies of water that are being controlled by Muslims and have been controlled by Muslims since the beginning of trade, it makes me wonder and ask, is this the reason why Muslims have been painted as terrorists this whole time? Is this why Muslims have been just so demonized? And Christians so purified as if they have been done wrong by these Muslims? You know, it's just things that make me go, what about that? Y'all know what it is, man. Y'all know who it is, man. It's your boy Pharaoh the God, man. Don't be scared. Don't be shy. Say hi, because it don't cost you much to touch. Rock with your boy, man. Rock with me. Rock with me, man. Hit that like button, man. This truth is unfiltered, man. It will never be monetized. I don't think so. And I know a lot of people may not agree with the channel or may not agree with me, but that's what this channel is about. It's just a fresh start. I'm not always saying I'm right, but guess what? I'm trying to put the pieces together organically, not out of any animosity, jealous, hatred. I'm just going off behavior patterns. Vile behavior patterns. Devilish like behavior patterns. Man, I have said this, and by BB the dirtbag continuing to threaten Turkey, it's forcing Trump hand to actually deal with it. What is the worst that could happen? The Epstein files get exposed on Trump. We all know that. But let me ask y'all a real solid question. And this is to America. If Trump was to turn his back on Israel and the Zionist regime, which is AIPAC, a part of it, which is one arm of the Zionist regime, AIPAC. If he turned his back and denounced them, renounced them, right? Denounced those folks, right? And punished them if they continued their atrocities. Would you believe Trump? That is the grand manipulator, BB the dirtbag in the Zionist regime. If he disciplines them, who else can he be afraid of after that? Who they have said what they could ever say about Trump. But even if Benjamin Netanyahu released the tapes, the pictures of him PDFing, would you not be happy? I'm being honest here. And I'm not saying the damage is done, oh well, fuck it. I am looking at the courage it takes for a person to stand up to Israel. Because these people that are in power have some type of witchcraft over their head. Some may call it blackmail. For non-getting banned and strike reasons, I'm gonna call it witchcraft today. But how much courage does it take to stand up and knowingly Israel got dirt on you and say, you know what, if you don't stop it, you finna get disciplined. And discipline them. Yeah, we know what's coming next. The motherfucking files and all of that. But now, America will be free because now it will be confirmed. We just need one fall guy. Even though we're gonna fire all the rest of y'all, we need that one fall guy. And that one fall guy gotta be Trump. Trump speaks about so much America first. And I see reporters and journalists and commentators and content creators speak on that Trump doesn't really want to be in this war. That Trump doesn't really want to help Israel. I heard that banter. I am one too that has said that. But in order for Trump to prove that, he will have to discipline Israel. And discipline, I mean military. He would have to. David sling radars and all that, they would have to be eliminated. And Trump will have to go on the big offensive to ensure no genocidal behavior happens towards Israel. Even though they're genocidal by nature, I suppose. I could be wrong. But is coffee nasty? I don't know. I just said that. But anyway, Trump would have to impose his authority legally and righteously to ensure the lives of the Zionist regime. Yes, it sounds crazy and lewd and rude and eye for eye. But that ain't what they teach us in Islam. It's not. They will forever need to be checked and monitored. Once you have a bad child at school that loves to start shit, you don't just let him roam around the school. You give him supervision everywhere he goes. And if he can't handle that, they got better supervision in prison, goddammit. But if Trump does not check BB the dirtbag, their power, their influence, and presentation will forever be lost. And I think it is. I think their presence, influence, fear, and power will be diminished in the Middle East because it listened to BB the dirtbag and the Zionist regime. And I'm not saying that because I'm no traitor to America. I'm saying that because I am a real American. Our president, Trump, has continued to sell this fucking country out. And if he doesn't turn on the motherfuckers that he sold this country out for, we're all gonna be in bad shape. But if he does, it will be the dawn of a new beginning. Do I actually see that happening? No. Do I see the issuance of a new world order? No. Why? Because even with America on its side, the Middle East through Iran is showing America, Israel, and the world they no longer hold that dominance and military might over there. Why do you think Turkey unveiled its supersonic missile, hypersonic missile, intergalactic missile? Why? Oh, that's what this toy I have does in Tel Aviv. That's what it does, Iran. Thank you for telling me, for giving me a expose of that. Let me unveil mine and show Israel what the fuck they gonna go up against. They keep fucking around and then find out. They gonna fuck around and really find out. See, Turkey doesn't have to be in cahoots with Iran. But guess what? Iran ain't attacking Turkey, and Turkey ain't attacking Iran. Turkey is being attacked economically, military-wise, industrial-wise, by America and NATO. While Israel is threatening violence against a NATO country that is Turkey. Now, just imagine if Israel had to fight Turkey and Iran by itself, because America can bomb Turkey because it's NATO. Imagine what would be the outcome of Israel. Israel is barely hanging on as we speak right now. So what do you think will happen if they attack Turkey? And America is striking deals with Iran. We was all clowning Trump because he was always saying, oh, they want a deal, they want a deal. But the person that speaks about that continuously is what? They always bringing it up. That's their narrative. They want a deal, they want a deal, they want a deal. They're begging for one. When in truth, it was Trump begging a deal from them. Because like I said, I don't believe Trump wanted to be in this war. And I believe Trump is going to make a deal with Iran, whether Israel likes it or not. And I think that's when the real problem is going to come out. Trump is already trying to clean up his image within American society by all these billionaires that are so-called being captured for running drug empires in America. Laura H. for trafficking and being caught with 122 unregistered children. Or the other couple, the Chinese couple. Like, why all of a sudden is a mass influence on the metaverse of the FBI, ICE agents, DHS and DOJ entities making these captures? But when you try to go look up some of these cases, you can't find them. So why are these channels reporting on it and can't find them? What journalists did their homework and found out one of them actually never existed? It was all on paper. It was a master plan. Create an entity that never really exists. You just have people represent that entity. always sending delegates. But why are we having a mass influx of this type of media, of this type of coverage? But yet, it is not being reported in television. Fake news. The creation of AI. It's a play for people's minds with this AI. How do you discern between what's real and what's fake? AI. You mean Michael Jackson, a man that really loves children, took a picture with Jeffrey Epstein? Know it, what this man does. And you mean to tell me Michael Jackson, the alleged biggest PDF in music history, is not in the Epstein files at all, but only in there as saying that he created Never Never Land as the opposite for Jeffrey Epstein's island? He wanted the kids to really have a safe space and really be kids? You mean to tell me that the biggest PDF in music history is not in the Epstein files? Not even a little bit? I know you lying. I know something don't add up. Israel has a bigger agenda, and I'm thinking that maybe Trump is getting aware of this bigger agenda. And like any sensible person, he is against it. But like I said, he took that money. He's trying to figure out, I mean, I would hope it looks like that, but one never knows. One never knows. I can't tell you. But y'all know what it is. Y'all know who it is, man. I appreciate y'all rocking with me today on the War Report. And I know you didn't hit that like button. I know y'all didn't subscribe. But I definitely appreciate y'all giving me y'all time, giving me y'all ear, and hearing my side of the story. I'm just optimistic, and I'm worrisome. I have a little anxiety problem. And my anxiety is up when I continue to see what these Muslim countries operate and control. And every time I hear America talking about these countries, I get more worried. And you should be worried too. Because if you can sit up here and say that you believe that Israel doesn't play nice, or America doesn't play nice, what do you think is going to happen if they control those global trade routes? What do you really think is going to happen? Do you think it's going to be all honky-dory? If so, put it in the comments, man. Stay on the lookout for me going live, man. I don't post videos, man. I only do live. And I stopped doing shorts. The way you get my attention, follow me on Instagram at I Got 5 Let's Talk. Hit me in the DMs, man. I talk back. Talk to me, I talk back. You want my attention on a certain situation, a certain topic? Send it to me via Instagram. That's I Got 5 Let's Talk with one L, not two L's. This is the wrong spelling. You know, AI be messing shit up. But yeah, man, y'all know the motto, take care of each other. And if y'all can't do that, take care of your motherfucking self. We out.